Good morning from the IRM in London, and welcome to this webinar about the IRM qualifications. And thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. In this webinar, we're going to look at some organizations and individuals and how they have been making use of IRM qualifications to boost their expertise in risk management. And we're also going to go through the practicalities of how the enrollment and study process works. My name is Lucas Moraes. I am the Student Services Manager at the IRM. And having studied the International Certificate in Enterprise Risk Management myself, I know very well how it feels to be wondering what the course involves, how it's going to meet business needs and progress your career, and also how you're going to be able to fit it into a busy work and family life. First, let's deal with some technical points. If you have sound problems, then I'm afraid it's likely to be a problem at your end with the speed of your internet connection, and there isn't anything we can do to tweak or help in real time. However, you will be able to access the recording of the webinar after it finishes, so you can catch up with everything we talked about later. If you have any questions as we go along, then please type them in the question box, and we'll see how many we can tackle them with the time we have available. The IRM website is also a mine of further information. You'll find the syllabus of all of our qualifications there, the enrollment details and exam arrangements there. Thank you for everyone joining us today from different locations around the world. Because the IRM courses are designed for distance learning, we have students from many different countries. Every year we have about 500 students studying from various locations around the world. Our courses are sector independent. Risk management tools and techniques can be applied to whatever sector or industry you work in. So this is our agenda for today. First, my name is Lucas, as I just said. I'll just give you a brief introduction about the IRM. Then we'll hear from Tashi. Tashi is an IRM cert as well, so they have completed the International Certificate in Enterprise Risk Management, and she works as an Assistant Vice President for Portfolio and Risk Management at New Venture International, India. Then we're gonna hear from Blair. Blair works as a Financial Reporting Risk Relationship Manager for NatWest Group. Then we'll hear from Salistar, our IRM module coach for the International Certificate in Enterprise Risk Management. And finally, I will wrap up with the enrollment process and a bit about the blended learning, and then we'll answer some questions. So why take a professional qualification and why the Institute of Risk Management? First, we're not a training company or a consultancy. IRM is an independent, not-for-profit professional body owned and run by its members who are all practicing risk in some form. Secondly, we're not a university or a college. That's not to say we don't work closely with universities and the academic world. However, our qualifications are developed by a mix of academics and practitioners, so they give you the perfect balance between academic rigor and practical experience. And as well as giving you the subject knowledge that you need, qualifying from an IRM qualification also gives you an internationally recognized qualification and postnominals after your name. In that way, we're similar to other professional bodies that you may encounter, such as project management institutes, engineering institutes, or similar for accounting and internal auditors. And Belonging to an institute like the IRM provides you with a network that will support your lifelong learning and career progression. And as you might expect, IRM has some views on what a good risk professional needs and how qualifications and membership support professional excellence. So in the slide, you can see 5 elements of what a good risk practitioner needs. Technical knowledge, which is covered in our qualifications, sector knowledge, professional knowledge, organizational knowledge, and self-knowledge. So once we dig into what the qualifications cover, you'll see how IRM helps you achieve all of those skills and knowledge through education. Here's an overview of our portfolio of qualifications. So we have 2 international certificates in enterprise risk management and financial services risk management. We also have some standalone specialist qualifications in digital risk and supply chain risk. And finally, we have our master's level qualification, which is the International Diploma in Risk Management. And a bit of an overview of where our members and students come from. As I mentioned previously, risk management can be applied to any industry. So here's just a snapshot of where our student and members come from, just so you have an idea. And lastly, the journey of developing as a risk professional within the IRM. So we have training courses that last between 1 and 5 days, and they have a very comprehensive range of subjects, from fundamentals of risk management, which can be taken by anyone who not necessarily works in risk, but is interested in understanding a bit about the risk world, all the way to risk in the boardroom and how to, address risk management issues in C-suite level. Moving on from our training courses, we then have our IRM qualifications. As I mentioned before, we have specialist certificates in digital risk, supply chain risk, and also operational risk, and they take up to a year to be completed. And we then have our international certificates in enterprise risk management and financial services risk management. By completing either one, you will then receive the first professional designation at the IRM, which is IRM Cert. Once you then complete the international diploma, which is the master's level qualification, and takes between 3 to 5 years to complete, you receive the next professional designation, which is grad IRM, and you can then obtain certified or certified fellow status depending on your years of work experience. So now I'll hand over to Tashi to talk a little bit about the student experience and what she's gained from taking an IRM qualification. Thanks for joining us, Tashi, and over to you.
Thanks, Lucas. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So my name is Tashi, as Lucas already said. I am based in India. I work with a London-based organization. It's New Venture International Limited. And New Venture is an incubator of MGAs. So what I do on a day-to-day basis is I lead the project portfolio within my organization, and also the risk management team and the operations team. We're a very small core team, so each of us has like multiple roles to sort of perform. I completed my ERM certification, level 2 cert in November 2022. And the reason why I decided to pursue this certification was, it was like the height of COVID at that point in time, 21 and 22. And also, we are in the insurance industry, as a New Venture is in the insurance industry, which is a heavily regulated industry. And we had set up around end of 2020, December 2020. We did not have a risk function in place. So I thought that, that would be something that would be required by the organization, because it's the regulators want to see every insurance company have some sort of ERM in place. So I decided, I looked up a lot of courses and I looked up a lot of institutes, and I sort of came across the IRM certification. And what I really found was different was the amount of support that was available to the students. So I decided to go for it. In terms of my learning experience while I was giving the exams, so I registered for the exam around, I think, April or May of 2022. And received my books and, started studying for the exams. There's definitely a lot of content, but at the same time, there was a lot of support which was available on the learning portal as well. And it's a very structured content, which is, I found it easier to sort of absorb and understand. And as part of my sort of learning process as well, I created a lot of notes to, support and augment that entire learning journey towards the exam. So that's something that I always sort of recommend to everybody, that, you should definitely create notes. There's also a lot of introduction videos which are available and webinars which are available on the learning side. So definitely go through that as well. So coming back to, how this certification has helped me on a day-to-day basis in my role. So it has helped me to set up a ERM for our organization. And by that, I mean not just for my company, which is New Venture, but also the MGAs that we set up. So far, we've set up 3 MGAs. So in total, like, we have 4 organizations, including the New Venture, for which I'm sort of managing the ERM setup. And initially, it started with something small, which was, just setting up the risk registers, but also going through the level, this IRM cert sort of study period, and going through all of the content and all of the materials which were available online, which was not just, about like the theory part of IRM, but also about, like, you had access to a lot of annual reports and a lot of other content, and you could actually see how each of the aspects. So if you talk about creating a risk policy, so there are like actual real life examples available for you to go through how this organization has implemented and how this organization has created a risk policy for themselves. So that was really helpful. That gave me a lot of idea about like how to create the ERM structure for my own organization. And we're still in the process of doing it. It's not a small term project. So there's a lot of patience required as well. But it has helped me to get that structure in place, as well as have that real life knowledge of, how other organizations are doing it. In addition to that, something that I really appreciate is having access to, the IRM alumni. And I think so far I've attended like 5 or 6 online plus offline, like in-person sessions with the various alumni teams, and some of them have been based out of US. So that was majorly online. Some of them are based in India, since I'm based in India. Talking to them has sort of helped to, understand what they're also doing in their organizations. They're industry experts. So if you have any problems, like, how do I do this? How do I get this done in your particular role? That's something that I found them really helpful. Most of them are very responsive. They usually get back to you like, as soon as possible. So I've had access to the alumni, as well as students who are coming, who are right now studying, either level 1 or they're doing level 2. And just talking to them as well, like what they're doing, what they're gaining out of it, that is also helpful. So it's not just like, people who've been in the industry, but people who are also learning, because I think since I gave the exam in 22, there's been like, it's become even more application based, is what I've learned from the students who are now going to give the exam. So that's been very helpful. And it's really helped to be engaged in my organization's strategic decision making. And I think that was the primary reason why I sort of decided to, get get engaged in this this kind of certification. So yeah, in terms of like what I would just suggest to everybody is when you take up the certification, just try to think about how you can apply this on a day-to-day basis in your roles. At whatever role you are in, I think risk management is applicable everywhere, and you see it, and you just don't see it as part of your role. If it's difficult for you to envision that, then you can sort of pick up any organization, any industry that you're interested in, and just think about what they are doing currently and how they would sort of set up a risk management structure for themselves. And also, I think while you're studying, just create like a study plan for yourself. There is, like I said, there is a lot of content which is available on the learning platform, and I know that Sally is the coach for the first module, so there's a lot of guidance as well, like how do you start studying for this and what you should be doing. So definitely go through that, like don't skip it. I think sometimes in a hurry to just get to the content, we tend to skip it. I did too in the start. So then I went back and just went through the introduction. I think that was really helpful, and I kind of changed my study pattern as well. And also, like when you are doing this certification, you would see that if you read a lot of like news, just understand what is going throughout the world, the geopolitical situations. And when you sort of complete your certification and you decide to take up a role in risk management, or if you're already in that, you would see that having that additional knowledge of what's happening throughout the world, it would really sort of put you like a mile ahead of everybody else in terms of what you think about the risks and the opportunities are for your organization, for your role, for your company, and even for the country for that matter. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to share. In all, I think it's been a great learning experience with IRM. And like I said, the part that I really appreciate is it was an application-based study module. It wasn't just like about theory, and you just have to learn this, and you have to, you have to do rote learning. That's something that I've always found difficult. So it was very easy for me to understand the concepts when it became application-based and when you were actually seeing real-life examples. And we also had the entire batch to talk to. If you have any problems, you can just put a chat question out there, and there are people who would respond to you in addition to the coaches who are available to help you out on any of the content. So yeah, and thanks to the IRM team for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tashi. It's great to hear your experience, and is exactly what we designed the qualifications for students to learn and apply the learning as they go in their current job or perhaps progress in their career. And just to clarify as well, because you mentioned in your talk about taking level 1 and then taking level 2, just to clarify to everyone listening to us today, IRM has an affiliate in India, and for our Indian students, they must take the level 1 qualification first, which is the equivalent of the IRM's Fundamentals of Risk Management training course. So that's exclusive for students taking the examinations in India. Level 2 then refers to the International Certificate in Enterprise Risk Management or Financial Services Risk Management, but the content is exactly the same, the support is exactly the same, and the exam is also exactly the same. So thank you so much. And now we will hear from Blair. Blair, over to you.
Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm Blair Anderson, and I attained the IRM cert designation in January this year, so fairly recently. And yeah, so Tashi, thanks for that. That was a very comprehensive update. I'm not sure what else I can add to that. Maybe what I'll be doing is reinforcing probably a lot of what you've said there. In terms of my experience, I kind of started out really in kind of customer service operations type activity, to be honest, and I was kind of generally unaware of risk and risk management. But as kind of Tashi mentioned, it will be there, and it is there, and you know, and I kind of started to learn that as I moved up into a management kind of role. So you know, risk management is everywhere, and that makes these qualifications extremely valuable. So I think so I've worked in various bits, AML and sanctions, and conduct risk, and now in kind of financial reporting risk, and I think the IRM certificate, what it really gives you is a very good kind of broad knowledge and a wider appreciation of kind of risk management frameworks, protocols, practices, that really kind of aids anybody who's either looking to get into risk management to understand more, or even as a risk manager, because I've been doing it for best part of a decade now, just to kind of push you on a bit, give you that higher level knowledge, and really allow you to become a kind of a trusted advisor. So you've really got that background knowledge to be able to speak to people, and obviously implement and suggest changes as well, challenge what's going on in your organization. Certainly NatWest is obviously quite mature in terms of its risk management operations and functions, compared to obviously what Tashi was describing there with her organization. So it's a slightly different platform. But I think, you know, again, to reinforce it, what was really good about the qualification is it gives you that, it's that practical element as well, and just thinking about, so you get the theory, but you also get about how would you actually go about implementing that within your organization, those frameworks and practices. So I think that's really important, and even down to the level of, you know, how would you go about like identifying and assessing risks, and thinking about the different options for doing that, and the pros and cons around it. So I think, you know, for me, it was, I would say, look, the main thing with this, as Tasha said, there's a lot to get through, right? So time management is key. And I think when you're thinking about that, have a plan, an explicit plan. Don't just kind of fly by the seat of your pants, if you like. You've got to have an explicit plan on paper, or, you know, wherever you want to do it, spreadsheet, whatever. But make sure, you know, because life throws things up that are unavoidable, unexpected. So make sure there's some flexibility in that plan. So I think the recommendation is that you kind of make space for about 30 hours per module. So you know, think about that and how you can fit it in. I would also recommend, look, particularly if you've got a supportive employer who's potentially putting you through this, or maybe financing it for you. Think about how you can, you know, can you have time in your day to start kind of get some of the stuff completed as well, because there's a lot there. And I think, you know, the portal is key here, right? So it is very structured, and it's very good. It's easy to follow through, the activities. What I particularly liked about it was this kind of regular knowledge checks and questions about the theory, but also trying to get you to think about how you would implement that, or how that works within the organization that you're in at the minute. So you're kind of getting a sense of, you know, you might be fully aware of that, you might not, but it just gets you thinking about how does that work within the area or the company organization that you're in at the minute as well. So it's again that kind of mix between theory and practice, but specific to you and your role in your organization. The other thing I would strongly suggest is do the wider reading. There's a lot of optional reading here, but it really helps. And I think particularly when you're thinking about the exam, if you've got that wider appreciation beyond the kind of core and mandatory reading, it really helps you. Sometimes, and actually for me, it helped me if there was certain concepts that I wasn't quite getting. It probably gives a different spin on it that might be more understandable as well. So I'd really encourage you to use that time fully and do some of that wider reading around the topics and subjects within the course. If you can, I was lucky enough to be doing the certificate at the same time as one of my other colleagues. So buddy up with them if that is an option for you, because it helps understanding. Again, if there's a concept you're not quite getting, they might have a different spin or be able to explain it in a slightly different way, to potentially how you've read it or perceived it within the course materials. So I would really advise that if that is an option for you, buddy up with somebody. And again, yeah, look, great support within the portal as well. There's forums you can ask questions, and then obviously the alumni network is invaluable, really. I think that's from an ongoing perspective, is probably the most valuable part of becoming a member of the IRM. Right, so you've got, and these guys, a lot of them are extremely experienced professionals. They've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So they can really offer great perspective on potential different approaches. Failing that, I mean, I think that's the other thing in terms of just wider kind of risk management knowledge. I would always, and you can use the alumni for this, or you can use a mentor within your own organization. But I always think that the education is, you need a mentor of some kind. I think, if you think about a lot of kind of really successful people, they've had great mentors along the way, right? Just think about that, how you can do it, whether it's in your organization using the alumni or whatever works best for you. I think that's probably the main points, but just to say, look, for me, this has been a fantastic opportunity. I think realistically, it's helped me to get the job that I'm in now, which is a step up from where I was before, because it gave me the knowledge and skills to really talk knowledgeably about the subject, particularly the COSO risk management framework, which is very kind of common and well used, particularly in my industry, but I assume across the board, financial services, it's very common. And yeah, it just gives you that leg up, makes you stand out from the crowd, I think is what I'd say, because if I think about the decade or so that I've been in risk management, I can't think of many people that have actually kind of gone to the effort of becoming kind of certified and qualified. They kind of rely on experience, but I think this just it puts you kind of, it makes you stand out from the crowd. And I think if I'm thinking myself about my kind of, as a hiring manager, for me, it's really important that people are proactive with their self-development, and they show a willingness to learn. So doing a qualification like this shows that, and again, that's a really good quality to have in somebody in your team, and as an individual as well. So go for it. Right, it's pretty, it can be pretty challenging, but as I say, most worthwhile things are. And I'll leave it there. Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you so much, Blair, for sharing your experience, and congratulations on getting a promotion after completing the qualification. So well done.
Thank you.
We'll now hear from our lovely module coach, Sally Starr. So over to you, Sally.
Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Sally and I'm the module coach for the International Certificate in Enterprise Risk Management. Just to give you a quick introduction to myself, so I'm a risk manager working within the metals and minerals industry, and I've been working with the IRM as a module coach for just over 3 years now. I actually took the qualification myself a few years ago, and I really don't think that I would be doing the job that I do today without having taken the qualification myself. So as module coach, I'm here to help students with any queries that they have relating to the course contents, and I also facilitate discussion between students by posting things like news articles, YouTube videos, conversation topics, etc., relevant to the module learning outcomes on the discussion forums, and I encourage students to really share their real life experiences with one another to kind of supplement their learning. One of my favorite parts about being a module coach with the IRM is getting to interact with risk professionals and students from a wide range of countries, industries, and sectors on a daily basis, and hearing about everyone's experiences within the risk management profession. And students can also benefit from this via the IRM's discussion forums. And I'll talk a little bit more about my role as module coach, the discussion forums, and how this all works a little bit later on. But first, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking you through the course structure and the content that you can expect to cover across the recently updated syllabus. Thanks, Lucas. So the International Certificate is designed to introduce you to the fundamental theory, management, and application of ERM to ensure timely organizational success. That's essentially the purpose of the qualification. And it provides students with a foundation of the knowledge and, as Blair and Tashi said, the practical skills required to manage risk, together with an understanding of the multidisciplinary nature of risk management within any organization. And that's key, that it is applicable to pretty much any organization. So while studying for the certificate, you'll be encouraged to further your understanding of current risk management thinking, standards, and regulations across the world. So it's not just based on kind of UK theory and literature. So the certificate really is relevant to risk management professionals from all sectors, experience levels, industries, and also geographical locations. So the certificate comprises 2 modules, each consisting of 6 units, and together these provide a comprehensive introduction to both the principles and practice of risk and risk management. Module 1, which is centered around the principles of risk and risk management, prompts students to consider questions such as, what do we mean by risk and enterprise risk management? How did the risk profession develop into what it is today? And what are the steps involved in implementing an ERM process? So the 6 main units within this module are key concepts of risk management, strategic planning for ERM, context, objectives, and risk assessment, managing, monitoring, and reporting risks, risk culture and appetite, and corporate governance and risk assurance. And then building on these key concepts, module 2 then focuses in on the more practical aspects of risk management, which is why this one's called Practice of Risk Management, by exploring the more practical aspects of implementing effective risk management within organizations to make sure that it is fulfilling its purpose and creating and protecting value. So this module provokes questions such as, how does risk management correlate with an organization's strategic framework? How does risk management support organizational sustainability and resilience? And how can we really embed risk management within our organizations? So this module in particular includes some really interesting and topical aspects of risk management that are becoming increasingly higher on organizations' agendas. And these are risk and strategy, sustainability, resilience, approaches to risk management, embedding and maintaining risk management, and risk management competencies. So as you can see, the syllabus, the certificate, has a very wide-reaching syllabus that's relevant to risk management professionals from all backgrounds. So no matter how long you've been in the field, there'll be something new for everyone to learn, while also going into depth on topics that you might already be more familiar with. Just to answer a couple of questions that I've seen in the chat box so far, I've had a couple of questions, students just querying how exactly this works in terms of time commitments, how long it takes. So in general, students tend to complete the course in between 6 to 9 months. Just to add to what Blair was saying earlier, it is recommended that you spend around 30 hours of study time per unit, but this definitely depends on kind of where you're at, what commitments you have, whether you've got a full-time job, part-time job, you might have family commitments, holidays that you've got to plan around. So as Blair said, I would highly recommend creating a study plan that has some flexibility in it that you can refer back to and make sure that you're kind of progressing in line to sit the exams and complete your assignments on time. And it completely depends as well with the modules and units that you're more familiar with. So you might find when you're going through the reading that there'll be sections that you're already quite familiar with and you don't need to spend too long on them. Alternatively, there will be others that you need to focus a little bit more attention on. So it's not rigid, but those are the kind of recommended timeframes. Next slide, please, Lucas. Okay, so now that you've got a good idea of what the course entails, I'd like to talk you through the student experience and the various resources and types of support that are available to students throughout the duration of the programme. So upon enrolling onto the course, you'll first have access to a student handbook, which includes lots of really useful information about the course in general and really guides you through the course and your journey as an IRM student from the very start to the very end. Now, the most key resource that you'll have available to you, as both of our previous students mentioned earlier, is the online virtual learning environment, which is called Moodle. So the International Certificate is a distance learning course, meaning that all of your studying will take place online, and Moodle is where you'll find all of those unit lessons and the essential reading materials, with the platform really guiding you through the content step by step. So the units will all be in order for you to take one at a time, and it'll also direct you to the relevant essential reading and kind of recommended wider reading as well as you progress. Now, within Moodle, students also have access to a discussion forum where I, as module coach, am available to answer any questions that you have on the course contents. And also students can discuss the learning materials with each other. And this is a really useful resource because it puts students in touch with other risk professionals that are kind of in the same boat, having the same experiences, allowing you to learn from one another and share your experiences of applying the principles and concepts within the reading, but within your own organizations. So as I think Blair mentioned before, Moodle also includes a number of activities and exercises to undertake throughout the lessons, which allow you to kind of consolidate your knowledge and test your understanding along the way as you progress through the units. And this is also supplemented by a sample exam paper that you can attempt prior to completing the real exam at the end of the course. Within Moodle, you'll find a number of pre-recorded videos. I think Tashi mentioned a couple of them before. So there's an introduction video. There are 2 videos focusing in on the module contents. And there's also another video that's solely dedicated to exam preparation and revision. And then in addition to these pre-recorded videos, I will also be delivering 2 live mid-program webinars halfway through the course where we'll explore the assignment tasks in some detail. And I'll also invite questions from students in real time. And then just finally, enrolling onto the IRM certificate gives you student membership of the IRM. So you might have already seen that the IRM provides a number of free resources on its website, and these are available to everyone. But student membership gives you access to additional resources that aren't available to the public. And then all of these resources are supplemented by the IRM's helpful student support team, who are always on standby to help you if you've got any questions or problems that you might encounter along the way. So as you can see, the certificate is quite different from other distance learning courses that you might be familiar with, in that it does involve a fair amount of reading, but your learning is really supported by a wide range of resources in various formats to cater for different kind of learning styles and preferences. Yeah, next one, please, Lucas. Thank you. Okay, so just a little bit about the assessment format. So module 1 is assessed by way of 1 exam and 1 written assignment. The exam is 90 minutes long. It consists of 60 questions, and those are multiple choice, and it's worth 40% of the marks for the module. Exams take place electronically at a Pearson VUE exam centre in either June or December, depending on when you enrol. So if you enrolled for this assessment period, it would be in kind of late November, early December usually. Now, the second form of assessment for module 1 is a 2,000-word essay, and this involves a critical evaluation of a set topic related to your place of work or equivalent. And this makes up the remaining 60% of the module. So the written assignment will typically ask you to demonstrate application of your knowledge of the course contents to a practical problem. Assignments are submitted on Moodle via Turnitin, again in either June or December, depending on when you enrol onto the course. And just a note on this, you must gain a minimum pass mark for both the exam and the assignment in order to pass module 1. The assessment for module 2 is comprised of 2 written assignments following exactly the same format as module 1. The only difference being here that each assignment is worth 50% of the marks for the module. So these ones are weighted equally. Both of those assessments have to be passed in order to pass module 2, and then both modules have to be passed in order to obtain the certificate. And the modules are weighted completely equally, so both equate to 50% of the marks for the certificate. So hopefully that's given you a good overview of and a good kind of feel for the course itself, the assessment structure, and also the various types of support and resources that will be available to you after enrolling. I'll now hand you back over to Lucas, who's going to talk you through the enrollment process a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Sally, for your explanation about the course content, resources, and assessment. I will now talk to you all about the enrollment process and how does it work. So what are the steps you need to take if you wish to enroll on our qualifications? We have 2 exam sessions every year. So exams are normally taken in June or December. And for the upcoming exam session, which will be in December, the enrollment is open until the 30th of June. So if you came across our website and you've seen that the deadline to enroll is 31st of May, we will announce an extension until the end of June. So you'll be able to enroll until the 30th of June. And upon enrollment, you will start your distance learning studies, taking advantage of all the resources that we've covered during our webinar today. And then the next step will be to take the assessments in December. So as Sally mentioned, for module 1, there is 1 MCQ exam, which I've seen in the chat, people are asking about where is the exam taken. So our exams are taken at Pearson VUE test centers, and they are available worldwide. But you must attend a test center to take your multiple choice examination. And then all the assignments are submitted online in the virtual learning environment as well. You will then get the results announced in February 2023, and providing that you have passed both modules, you're admitted to the IRM as a certificate member, and you can use your IRM cert post-nominals, as well as taking advantage of all of the other membership benefits. Few things about the certificates. There are no prior requirements for you to enroll, so you don't need to meet any entry criteria. The only thing we recommend is a good understanding of the English language, because this course is delivered in English. So we don't ask for an IELTS test or any proof that you can take a qualification in English, but we recommend an overall score of 6 on IELTS, or that you've been working in or studied in English before, so you can take the course. The course is distance learning, as we mentioned, so all the materials are delivered online. The amount of learning hours is 180 to 200 hours per module. And then, yes, so finally, this course is a degree level of study. And now I'll briefly talk about the blended learning workshops. So the blended learning workshops are an additional resource for students who perhaps need an extra support when taking a distance learning qualification. It's an additional resource to the course, so you can either take it or not. It's not going to impact your ability to take the exams and achieve IRM cert status, but it's certainly a very useful support for people who perhaps never taken a distance learning qualification before, or they just need a bit more structure to support their studies. There are 4 blended learning workshops included in the blended learning package, should you wish to purchase this. Workshop 1 is an introduction, so the coaches will give you an overview of the geography of the course, how to approach your studies, what to expect from your studies, and also just give you a map on how to go about studying. Then workshops 2 and 3 will have an overview of modules 1 and 2. So there's like 2 consecutive days of workshops throughout the middle of your studies, where you will basically learn everything about the course. And finally, there is a revision workshop, which will guide you through the examination techniques. You will do a mock exam before the revision workshop, so the blended learning coaches can identify your learning gaps and give you some direction on what you need to focus on a bit more, just to get over the line and pass the exams. Or perhaps if you're interested in, I don't know, achieving a merit or distinction, they can help you with that as well. And yeah, so this blended learning workshops are additional and also charged differently than the qualification itself, but all the information about pricing is on the IRM website. And if you are ready to enroll, you can head to theirm.org/forward-qualifications. There you have a link to enroll. You can enroll online. And if you need further information or you still have any questions before making a final decision on enrolling, you can email us at inquiries@theirm.org or give us a call in the number available in the slides. We now have 9 minutes to answer questions from the chat. So let's have a look. I think we've covered some of them. Will we be able to provide direct links to the IRM qualifications on offer? Yes, we will share the recording of the slides after the presentation, and with that also link to all of our qualifications. Ahmed is asking how many hours and how much does the certificate cost? So we cover the hours, 180 to 200 hours per module. And the cost depends on where you live and work. So for the standard rate, which is the normal rate if you're not an IRM member, is £2,195. Then there is a member rate for people who might be already IRM members. and that's £1,975. And finally, we have low GDP rates for countries of low gross domestic product. We have the list of low GDP countries on our website, and the fee for that is £1,865. And exceptionally for students from India, you can get in touch with IRM India affiliate directly to inquire about their pricing structure. Some people are asking about the diploma. So the diploma is the natural continuation of the international certificate. So you would take modules 1 and 2 of the certificate, and then diploma is formed of 4 modules, 3 to 6. It takes between 3 to 5 years to be completed, and is a master's level qualification, a lot more comprehensive, and it's only assignment based. So you get a lot of practical application through taking the international diploma. Is the exam part of the cost? Martina is asking. Yes, so the first exam entry and assignment submission is included in the course fee. And is the first submission and attempt only. So students have 3 attempts to complete the examinations. The first is included in the course fee, and if you need to retake it, you can do it in the next 2 consecutive exam sessions, and you just have to pay an additional exam booking fee or assignment submission fee. Vedavani is working if, as a non-working person, taking the course is helpful to restart your career. Sally, would you like to help me with that one, please?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So as Ellie has put in the chat, so it is suitable for both new starters and professionals with experience. As we said before, it can kind of increase your employability. It's a great thing to have on your CV. What I would say is that if you aren't currently working in a risk role, you might find that there's an additional challenge, because it does help sometimes to draw on your own experiences and then have a go at applying it in the workplace. The assignments do to an extent require you to base your answers on a real organisation, although it doesn't have to be an organisation that you're working on. So a lot of organisations have publicly available information that you can base your assignments on. So you definitely can take the course if you don't currently work in a risk role.
Perfect. Thank you, Sally. And finally, Alicia is asking if we can just complete the certificate level or we have to go on to the diploma. You don't have to necessarily go on to the diploma. A lot of our members just complete the international certificate, which is already a very comprehensive qualification and gives you first level of professional membership at the IRM, which is IRM Cert. I have taken the certificate, and honestly, I don't consider taking the diploma, so I will stop there. So yeah, you can choose to stay as a certificate level or progress in your career by taking the international diploma. So I think that concludes our webinar today. Thank you to all of our speakers for taking the time to, share your knowledge and experience. And thank you also everyone for listening to us. It was great to share a little bit about our IRM qualifications, and hopefully we've answered all the questions you had. Don't forget that you can access the recording of this webinar if you want to hear it again or recommend it to a colleague. And take a look at the IRM website for more information about the course and the enrollment. Our inquiries and student support team will be also happy to answer any questions you might have via email or over the phone. And we'll hope that we'll be welcoming you as a student soon. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Lucas.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.